to our player rating, starting off with big Fraser Forster. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a big fat 9, and I thought he was brilliant. Kept us in the game a number of times yesterday. 5 saves, one real big save of quality in the first half from Raul Jimenez, and I thought he dealt with everything that came his way. The goal that he scored, I mean, he was outstretched, wasn't he? And couldn't do anything about it. It was right in the corner. But yeah, I was really happy with Fraser Forster yesterday. Another top display.
Yeah, I think more credit for Fraser again. 2 good games in a row, and I think the saves he made, especially the one from Jimenez, real top quality and had to make himself really, really big. I think a lot of the other saves was just a case of him just making himself massive, and because he's so big, the ball would hit him. I think that's the case for a lot of them. But look, you have to make your use of your qualities as a goalkeeper, and he definitely did that in yesterday. The only reason I didn't give him a 9 is just because I was at one moment where he did nearly cost us a goal with that pass out of the back, and that could have been bad. But other than that, another really good display, and his saves kept us in the game. So probably our best player on the day.
Let's move on to Pedro Porro. 4 all round for Pedro. Another poor display in my opinion, 2 in a week. He did look completely out on his legs, particularly in the second half. But yeah, I mean, defensively, I thought he was poor. Kept getting bypassed time and time again. They were just targeting that right-hand side, our right-hand side so much, and I thought he just couldn't handle it. And when he did get into any sort of attacking situations, he would just snap at a shot when there were so many better options for him to pass it. So I think it was poor decision-making from him and poor defensive work. So yeah, unfortunately, another poor game. And I think he needs to come out the team just to give him a bit of respite.
Yeah, it wasn't good from Porro. I think he was kind of sold out every time Fulham went down that side, just because Robinson was just ruthlessly getting forward, and they had Nelson there as well, and it was very, very difficult for Porro to kind of keep up with both of them. Either he had to go with the overlap or he had to go with Nelson, and Nelson was kind of running rings around him at times, to be honest. So poor day for him. Can't remember too. I think his set pieces weren't terrible though. If I remember, we did have a couple of chances from set pieces, which Radu maybe could have scored. But apart from that, yeah, wasn't a good day for him, unfortunately. He is looking a bit leggy in the moment.
Yeah. Radu Dragusin, Sim gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. I thought it was a really good display from Radu. Part of the reason why Fulham weren't able to create more chances than they actually did. I thought he was so aggressive, winning the ball in the air, was a threat on the other end of the pitch as well, putting his body on the line for the team with a number of blocks, interceptions, tackles, and he just grew and grew throughout the game, I thought.
Yeah, I thought... First half he was good, but second half he was probably our best player in that period, because I thought a lot of the time Fulham were getting forward and he was winning some really crucial headers and blocks. And there was that clearance right at the end of the game, wasn't there, when Wilson got behind Davies when they had 10 men, and he made a brilliant clearance right at the end to stop Fulham getting a late winner. So really strong showing. I thought Jimenez got a bit of joy in the first half, but not as much in the second half. And that was a lot to do with Radu. There was that one moment in the first half where he picks up the ball and he's got Johnson out wide, and he's got, I think it was Maddison inside, and he just completely passes it in between both of them, and it was like a terrible pass. I was like, oh god, is that what we got to expect from him today? But he actually improved his passing a lot as the game went on, and I think that's something that's been a part of his game that does seem to be improving. It seems a lot calmer on the ball as he was when he first came into the team, so that's a positive. So I think he's making really positive steps in recent weeks. Radu.
Yeah, he is, but it's probably just unfortunate for him. Romero is about to be back in the team, and he's about to be back on the bench when he's probably in his best moment in the Spurs shirt. Ben Davies up next. 8's all round for Ben, and Ben Davies doing Ben Davies things, sporting a black eye on the day. I'm not sure where that came from.
There's a rumour, I mean, completely unsubstantiated, that's why Solanke was sent home. Knocking out Ben Davies, but I don't know. There's no truth to it whatsoever. But yeah, that's what someone sent me.
Yeah, Amir said tongue in cheek yesterday. Maybe, or was it Amir? I think it was Amir said maybe he had a domestic with Sonny. But yeah, look, he was really good as well. I think they're forming a really nice partnership, Radu and Ben Davies, which is really good for us. But yeah, 7 clearances on the day, 3 block shots, 4 interceptions. I thought he was unbelievable. Again, putting his body on the line for the team. And I thought he was playing the ball out the back pretty well as well. 3 successful long balls out of his 4 played. So yeah, another really good display from Ben Davies.
Yeah, I think it was another good showing. I thought the interceptions he made, and the blocks he was making in the first half. I thought he was our best player in the first half, to be honest. He was absolutely brilliant. It could have been a lot worse if he wasn't on the pitch. He made some really crucial interceptions, especially I think it was one from Iwobi that was going on the left-hand side. He would have been one-on-one if it wasn't for Ben Davies. He's such a good reader of the game, and I thought he did a brilliant job intercepting on a number of occasions. And there were some really crucial blocks there as well from Ben Davies. Second half, I thought it was good. I thought Radu was a bit better in the second half, and also he got burnt for that chance right at the end from Wilson, where that nearly cost us a point right at the end, so he wouldn't have been happy with that. But I thought overall, probably my man of the match.
Destiny Udogie up next. Fives all round for Destiny. Yeah, I thought there were a few good things in there from Destiny, but more or less I thought he failed to impose himself down that left-hand side. I thought Iwobi was having a pretty good game, and Destiny, he did get bypassed a couple of times, but their main threats were coming down our right-hand side, to be honest. But there were a couple of moments where he won the ball back in really good areas where, you know, Fulham really could have hurt us from those situations. But from an attacking perspective, I thought he was pretty much non-existent.
Yeah, couldn't really get forward, didn't really get much time on the ball. I thought defensively, maybe not as bad as Porro, but still, again, similar. I don't think it was Porro's fault. Werner wasn't helping him that much, and I felt Tete was again ruthlessly just getting forward. He
had a really good game. Tete,
he was brilliant.
didn't
he set up that chance for Jimenez, which Forster had to save, and also Iwobi hit the bar from that similar area where Udogie could have been. So I thought Udogie also had his frailties. I just felt like when he was getting run at, I don't think he was getting beaten as many times as Porro. So I thought I gave him another mark, but I also thought he struggled badly.
Yeah. Bissouma up next. Fives all round for Biss. I felt like it wasn't really the double pivot that we were all asking for. I thought Sarr wasn't alongside Bissouma as much as we would have liked, and Bissouma was asked to play that kind of holding role, and he didn't do it well, to be honest. I thought a couple of times he won the ball back in the middle of the park, but wasn't able to progress the ball as much. I think he lost it quite a number of times in the middle of the park, and yeah, unfortunately, it's a bit of a step backwards for Bissouma because he's had a pretty good season, but I thought this was probably one of his worst displays of the season. Yeah,
it was a poor display. I thought a lot of his touches were overhit. There was that one moment in the first half, he's trying to play his way out the back, and he looks to give a pass over to Porro, and it's just a weak pass and gives the ball away in a dangerous position, and it puts us under pressure. Again, I thought him on the ball, trying to get forward, he was doing it to pretty much no avail. I thought he really struggled to influence the game like he usually does, and as well, he didn't really properly shield the back line as well. I thought Fulham, Smith Rowe was getting all sorts of joy, to be honest, all sorts of joy in that area, and he couldn't handle him. He was popping up in all different kind of areas, and Bissouma wasn't able to track him, so it wasn't a good display.
Pape Matar Sarr up next. Sixes all round for Pape. Kind of a similar performance to the one he had last game, where, you know, he was buzzing around like a bee. He was all over the park. He was showing a lot of good work rate. But then when he gets on the ball, he keeps making these sloppy passes that really annoy me, because, you know, it's those times that we can really spring on them and really, you know, push our ascendancy, and we just can't do that because we're making too many sloppy, stupid passes in the middle of the park from the likes of Bissouma and Sarr. But I thought he showed good aggression. He showed good tenacity at times, but yeah, not the greatest display.
Yeah, unfortunately, wasn't great from Pape. So I thought he wasn't our worst player. I thought there were times actually where his physicality did get us out of trouble a bit, and he was being quite aggressive. And there was a few times we were trying to play our way out from the back, and he was able to beat the press a few times and play it forward, but wasn't really able to impact the game going forward or going backwards. And when that's happening, he kind of gets lost in the middle, and I thought that's what happened.
James Maddison up next. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 4. You know, starting in his favoured 10 role this game, where you really thought, you know, with him in that position, you're going to see the James Maddison that you know he can produce. But I thought the moments of quality were just too few and far between. You know, he was being tasked to be our chief creator, and he just didn't do that, in my opinion. Maybe there was a couple of moments in the game here and there. That free kick was actually a really clever free kick to go under the wall, and it kissed the outside of the post. But yeah, I just felt like he kept losing the ball a bit too much for my liking, and he just wasn't creating as much as I expected him to.
Yeah, I felt for him because he was trying. I did feel like when he got on the ball, he was trying to link up with that front three, but every time he gave it off to them, it was coming back essentially, and all of a sudden it meant he had to be running backwards all the time, and it didn't lead to a situation where he could do a lot. I thought he really did struggle to impact the game on many occasions. Obviously, Santaberge and Lukic were really getting him on lockdown. But even in those occasions, I thought he did have some sort of impact. Obviously, that free kick was a clever effort. It was so unlucky to hit the post. He was involved in the goal in the build-up in a good way, playing the ball out to Werner. He also did a really good quick feet late in the game to earn a free kick right on the edge of the box, which unfortunately on that occasion it just hit the top of the wall. So there were a few moments in there. Unfortunately, it was few and far between, but I thought a lot of the time he was just hamstrung by what was a front three, which wasn't really fit for purpose when it comes to linking up with him. They just couldn't really retain the ball, and that's what you need if you're going to link up with him. So I felt for him a bit.
Brennan Johnson, Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 6. I mean, I just gave him the extra point because he got on the score sheet. 10 goals now this season, which is really great numbers for Brennan Johnson. I think that the only player in the Premier League who's got 10 goals with no penalties is Erling Haaland. So he's up there with good company. Obviously, Erling Haaland not playing well at the moment either. But I thought apart from the goal, he offered little, next to nothing, literally going forward. I thought he was a ghost in the game pretty much. Porro was calling out for help at the back, and he failed to help him pretty much the whole game. So yeah, apart from getting on the score sheet, I thought he was really poor.
Yeah, I agree. I thought he had a bit of a shocker, to be honest. Didn't really fret Robinson. I thought Robinson probably felt like he had an easy game. Obviously, he did get the goal, and to give Brennan credit, that is a valuable skill. When even if you're having a bad game, you can still pop up with the goal, and you can still be a threat. And that's not something just to be sniffed at. And it was a good finish, and it was a good run at the back post, classic Brennan. But it was a very good ball from Timo. But other than that, you're right. He really struggled to impact the game. Really struggled to get involved in the game. Also, I'm going to mark him down because I thought he a lot of the time left Porro high and dry and didn't really help him out enough. And, that's a big reason why we struggled to contain Fulham so much. So I think, unfortunately, Brennan didn't have a good game. But look, he got his goal, 10 goals, as you say. Was at 6 now in the Premier League. So look, if all three of our front three played badly but scored, would have 3 goals. So he would argue he did his job. He got a goal, but unfortunately we didn't win the game, and he has to take his blame for it.
Yeah, scored in his last 3 games now as well for Spurs, and last 4 games for club and country.
Wait, so he's on another run?
He's on another run.
All right.
Ronaldo.
So 7 was the last one. What are we going for this time? We're going for 8, 9?
Yeah,
Let's
maybe.
go.
We'll see.
Let's go.
Timo Werner up next. 6 all round for Timo. I thought he was our best outlet out of the front 3, which is not saying much because I thought all 3 were pretty poor, to be honest. But I think our best chances all came through Timo Werner. The sunny chance in the first half, and it was a inch perfect cross from Timo Werner for Brennan's goal as well. So our best moments come from Timo, and because of that, I thought it was a bit of a mistake to take him off, because I thought he was making more of an impact than anyone was in the front 3. So not the greatest display from Timo, but at least he showed a bit of signs of quality, and he was the only one willing to really run at his man and take on his man. And
also, it was probably a first for Timo. Instead of going down the line with a cutback with his left foot, actually cut inside and did a little dink cross to the back post and actually put it on a plate for Johnson. So hopefully he can start adding that to his game a bit more, because I think that's probably the first time we've seen that from him. In a Spurs shirt, that kind of assist. So fair play to Timo. And obviously he pounced on the loose ball in the first half, which Son should have finished. But yeah, I don't think it was, apart from those 2 moments, I don't think he did too much. There was a willingness, but he also earned the free kick, which Maddison hit under the wall and hit the post from, so that was decent. But didn't provide enough of a threat when it came to transitions, when I thought there was a lot of the times where Fulham were on top of us and then we win the ball back and we're looking for a quick transition, and Werner just wasn't able to provide at least that threat he usually does in transition, unfortunately. But he did more than our other 2 players in the front 3 in that sense. So it's true. And last but not least, in the starting 11, Son Heung-min. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 4. Starting off in the number 9 position, and I felt the Fulham defenders just pretty much did a number on him, physically dominated him. Unfortunately, he did have a couple of good chances that landed his way. The first one, he's got to be doing better. I think Leno saves it, and the second one, he tried to lay it off, and it was just really poor. So he's got to be doing better in those situations. When he went out on the left, it was slightly better, but I think he just failed to make an impact in the game, unfortunately. Yeah, obviously he'll look back at those 2 chances, or at least one chance that he missed right at the beginning of the game, and be probably very frustrated because Son usually gobbles up those opportunities, and that set the tone for his performance. Really, I agree. I think he got bullied a bit by the centre backs every time he was trying to back into a centre back. He just basically lost the ball, and it kept coming back at Tottenham, and he couldn't hold on to it. I thought he was better when he went out wide, albeit there was a couple of moments in stoppage time was a bit frustrating. He tries 2 dinks to the back post, which both go into the keeper's arms, but there was one peach of a ball on his left foot, which was right into the corridor of uncertainty between the keeper and the defenders. Unfortunately, there was no one there to receive it, but that was a ball very reminiscent of the cross he made for Brennan for the Villa goal, right on a plate for someone, and Bergvall just couldn't reach it, unfortunately. So he had one good moment of quality, but unfortunately just wasn't a good game for him.
And the only substitute that we're going to rank is Dejan Kulusevski, who came on with about 20 minutes left of the game. 6-0 round for Decky. He came on with a bit of energy and he tried to take the game to Fulham. But I felt like every time he had the ball, pretty much he was crowded off it. And he had no help as well. There was just no run. There was a clear lack of running and movement in this game from the rest of the Spurs players. And any time we got it in any promising situation, there was just no runners and movement around them. And I think Decky was feeling that as well every time he got on the ball.
Yeah, I agree. And unfortunately for him, when he came on, he kind of came on with this kind of mentality that everything's going to go through him, and he was coming deep, and he just led to Spurs not having any sort of focal point up front, albeit we didn't really have one when he was off the pitch anyway, but so I wouldn't necessarily it's his fault. He did show an ability to hold up the ball a lot better than Sonny did during his time in the forward line, but I thought he tried to impact the game in a positive way. I thought when he did come deep and pick up the ball, he was looking good, but he had no one ahead of him to kind of play it to. He kind of needed to play it to himself, and that was never going to work. So, unfortunately, he just basically had too much to do when he came on.
And last but not least, Ange Postecoglou. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 4. Obviously, the game was massively impacted with Solanke falling ill on the day, because I felt like Solanke was a massive miss on the day. There was no real focal point up there, no one to hold up the ball, and we struggled because of it. But you got to find solutions, and he did play Sonny up front, he played up front the whole of last season. He got 17 goals and 10 assists, but Sonny failed to make an impact. I felt where he really should have made the changes at fullbacks, because I think Destiny and Porro have played a lot of football so far this season, and you could clearly see that they were tired on the day. Porro on the back of a really poor performance on Thursday night. Spence is there, willing and able to play. Every time we've seen him, he's been pretty good, so why not play Spence? So I thought that was a mistake. And there was just a clear lack of aggression in the team, and when you have Solanke and Kulusevski, who are our biggest aggressive players that play, I thought it was clear and it was obvious that there was going to be a lack of aggression, and there was. But the way he managed the game, the substitutions that he made, I thought he just got it all wrong, to be honest. And yeah, I think there's no saying that, if he did make the right changes, we would have got back in the game, but it would have given us a much better chance.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the lineup, I didn't have a big problem with it. But when it came to, first of all, in the second half, could he have brought on Decky earlier? I understand he's made the decision to rest him, and he needs to honour that decision that he's made within himself.
What happened to Decky not getting tired?
Huh?
What happened to Decky not getting tired?
Clearly, he gets a bit tired
literally said that last week.
Yeah, but he needs to make sure he stays in that mode, that he doesn't get tired. I mean, like during a game, clearly he doesn't mean he still needs recovery period, I'm guessing. But look, if you made the decision to rest Decky, I think I'm not going to complain about that, because we've always said these players need to be protected and whatever, and he can't play every minute, and Decky's included in that. So I'm not going to be mad that he rested Decky. He can't play every game, so that's fine. I thought the changes, the big gripe for me is the changes he made when we went down to 10 men. First of all, could he have made changes earlier? Could he have brought on Spence for Porro earlier? Maybe a Bergvall earlier when they were clearly lacking legs. But once Fulham go down to 10 men, the game state has now changed, and things have changed because he had these 3 subs ready to come on, and with the game state in a certain way, And as soon as it goes down to 10 men, the game state has now changed. So he's got to adapt to that. And I think taking off Maddison, not bring on Lancashire, leaving Decky up front were all mistakes. And I think that was evident with how we responded to Fulham going down to 10 men. We barely created an opportunity. We barely laid a glove on them. I understand it was very stop-start as well, but if we had Lancashire, Maddison and Decky, Maddison, Decky and 10s, Lancashire up front in that period, I think we're a lot more likely to score than Bergvall, Sarr and Kulusevski up front. And I think we were hamstrung by that essentially in the last 10 minutes, and we didn't have any presence in the box. And I think Ange should have adapted quicker to Fulham going down to 10 men. And we had a substantial period, 15 minutes with them being down to 10 men. And I think his changes meant that we didn't create a chance. So
yeah,
he has to blame for that.
We're a blunt knife, and you just can't take off Maddison when it's down to 10 men, whether he's had a good game or not, because he's got the quality that can really provide something. So poor changes. Lancashire should have come on earlier. And just really poor all round from Ange, in my opinion.
But the reason I didn't give him lower than a 5, just because I had a bit of sympathy with the amount we were missing yesterday.
So it's a pity point.
Eight
pity
injuries.
point.
Look, from my point of view, I can understand it. What I would say is as well, like, you have these players like Lancashire, Bergvall, Gray, and Spence, you've kept around and you've decided to be part of your squad. And there's one thing, using them and them not doing the job, when you can say you've done your part, you've put them in, right? And they're just not good enough. But when you decide not to use them, then it's a lot harder to use that excuse.
Exactly. That's why I don't really have too much
But it
sympathy.
still might be a valid excuse, even if he hasn't used them.
That's why I don't really have any sympathy, because we were told that these players are here because we believe they're good enough. Well, if you believe they're good enough and the team are struggling because of how tired they are and being overplayed, then bloody use them. Like, why should he get any sympathy?
Because we have 8 first team players out, and so we do had a bench of kids basically.
But bench of kids that he believes, or the club believe, that are here to make a difference and are here that are good enough to make. How long's the long term?
I mean, more than 3 months.
So what's the point then? Like, why didn't we sign another midfielder then? If we believe he can't make an impact straight away. Because that's what we were told. We're not signing another midfielder because
6th choice.
We were told we were not going to sign a midfielder because these two, Bergvall and Gray, can make an impact this season.
And they're playing Europa League games.
Yeah, but we need them now in the Premier League. And if your players are so tired, then why not use them?
I don't think it was the midfielders that were tired.
Well, the fullbacks as well. Like, Gray could have played left back. Gray could have played right back. Spence could have played right back. He could have made a number of changes.
As I say, this is the questions he gets asked because he didn't play them, and I think they're valid questions. From my point of view, it still could be a valid reason, even if the excuse is harder to use because he didn't use them, in my opinion.
And regardless of all those facets, we have seen poor performances when the players are not tired, and similar performances where it be Ipswich, Crystal Palace, games after Europe, Thursday, Sunday. We never win a Sunday game apart from the West Ham game and the Man United game, and it's just so frustrating, really frustrating, because these performances, as much as in the early part of the season, when we were dropping points, we didn't deserve to drop points. Well, now, every time we're dropping points, we deserve to be dropping these points, and we're not good enough. And that's the reality.
Yeah.
And Ange has got to look at that, and Ange has got to take the flak for it. So that is our player ratings from the 1-1 draw against Fulham.